get.
Back here, first things first, we're joined by the dapper, well-dressed former Pro Bowl linebacker, Bart Scott.
What'd he do?
Did I do something to my hair?
Got some highlights of touch-ups. It's looking good today.
Well, between the two of you guys, I get more attention here than I get anywhere else over the course of my day, and I mean you two. Well, Nick just realized I've been sitting next to you right here. You said that our daughters can't.
No, I said none of the above. I said none of the above. I just don't want to hang out with you outside of work. I'd love for our kids to play together. When the Eagles gave Carson Wentz a $128 million extension this offseason, Jenny, you take it from here.
I will. It appeared they were all in on their franchise quarterback. We are happy to have you here, Bart. That despite the fact that Wentz has been plagued with injuries the last 2 seasons. That despite the fact that he had all of 0 playoff appearances, but Carson Wentz pays no mind to all of that, says expectations are sky high, heading into this, his 4th season.
It is what we expect around here. You know, it's the culture that we have. It's the expectations of this city and this fan base. Everybody knows that, but this culture that coach sets first and then the leaders on this team, we fully expect to be playing late into the season. And it starts right here in training camp. And obviously on the personal side, like you said, I mean, I'm chomping at the bit to get my opportunity to play into January and everything as well.
Bart, there's a lot of optimism around this Eagles team on both sides of the ball. If there is a question, maybe it's on Carson Wentz and his health and durability. What has to happen for the Eagles to make a Super Bowl run this season?
Well, for them to make a Super Bowl run, this is the most talented roster, or one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. But last year, it was missing that thump. You know, they were able to get ahead in games. They brought Deshaun Jackson back. It's going to stretch the field. It's going to make sure the safety had to stay high. They went out and got Malik Jackson. They have tremendous depth on the defensive side of the ball, bringing back Vinny Curry, who couldn't be successful in Tampa, but now they understand how to use him as a situational pass rusher. But I think the addition of Miles Sanders, Darren Sproles coming back, now they have some thump behind there, because what happens is when you get ahead of games, you can't always depend on Carson Wentz to continue to try and throw the football. You have to be able to take the air out of the football. And you think about what Jay Ajayi, really gave them. You think about what LeGarrette Blount gave them that physicality in between the tackles with one of the best offensive lines in the game. So once you get up by 2 scores with this defense can pin their ears back, you have to be able to take the air out of the game and limit the possessions once you get up 2 scores. And I think if they continue to stick to that recipe that they had, and I know that we have a motivated Carson Wentz, because, even though he's won a Super Bowl, he felt like he wasn't part of the run, because he wasn't the quarterback under center. And the elephant in the room was Nick Foles, and they still could have kept Nick Foles. They decided to move on and say, listen, these are the keys to the car, and we go as you go, Carson Wentz. So he has that chip on the shoulder. So I have a talented roster with a quarterback that has a chip on the shoulder. I think that's going to have a tremendous season.
And you mentioned Miles Sanders and Darren Sproles, and I'll add another name, Jordan Howard, a player that I didn't think Chicago should have let go, who I think will be there between the tackles runner. That's what he did for Chicago with Tariq Cohen doing more of the lightning as far as the thunder and lightning combo. For the Eagles to live up to what are very lofty expectations for the 2nd straight season, because they had very high expectations last year. When you win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, that's the expectations you're going to have. Yes, your first point is the most important one. Carson Wentz got to play 16 games, or at least very close. He, at the very least, has to finish the season healthy, even if he gets dinged for a game or 2 during the year. The last 2 years, he's not been able to finish the season healthy. I think an instant or near instant rapport with Deshaun Jackson will give the offense an extra element that they have not had since Wentz has been there. And then on defense, when this team was at its best, Chris would always say it, their big people were better than your big people. Yes, that was their offensive line, and they still have a great offensive line. Jason Kelce is fantastic. The right tackle, Lane Johnson's one of the best in the business, and we know Jason Peters, when healthy, I mean, he's a future Hall of Fame potential caliber player. But that D-line, no Michael Bennett. What they do is in the draft, they take Josh Sweat. I know he's a mid-round pick, but man, he seems to have some freaky ability as far as coming off the edge. You mentioned bring back Vinny Curry. We know how good Fletcher Cox is. They bring in Malik Jackson to play alongside him. These are all moves that should make what was their strength, their Super Bowl winning season, their strength once again, which is defensive line rotation, getting after the quarterback, because I do think there are legitimate questions about the back half of the defense. I think the defensive line's excellent. The linebacking core and secondary, you could pick apart. But those are the things that have to happen for this Eagles team to live up to the expectations a lot of people have for them, which is win that division, be in contention for the #1 seed in the NFC, and to get back to a Super Bowl.
Cece, we talk a lot about the same thing Bart said, that this is, some say, one of the most complete teams. But yet, what's the identity of the Philadelphia Eagles come into this season? It seems like they're very good at all different positions, but who are they really? Where are they going to shine?
Wow, that's a good question there. I think their identity has to be in their personnel. Because top to bottom, Howie Roseman, when you talk to people around the league, Howie Roseman is one of the best. And he has earned that right. After taking a back seat when Chip Kelly was there, they thought he was useless. Now that he regained his power, you can see that the way this roster is built, top to bottom, they have an emphasis on getting to the quarterback and protecting the quarterback. And you think their offensive line is one of the best in the business. They went out and fortified that, drafted the kid Dillard in the first round, traded up to get him. So now they have a competent backup, or maybe move one of those tackles into guard to even fortify the middle of that line. So I would say their identity is, man, they got a good roster, and what is Carson Wentz's potential? And if they're going to have a Super Bowl aspiration, Carson Wentz has to live up to being the first pick in the draft. Legitimate question on the secondary, as far as their corners, will their cornerbacks be stable enough? The way they were in their Super Bowl run, their secondary played fabulous as the season went on. Yeah. Middle linebacker Zach Brown, watch him coming over from Washington, speed guy, can cover guys out of the backfield, and I believe also he has that type of attitude. He hadn't played in a lot of primetime games, but I know him from his days when he transitioned from college to the pros. I think he fits into that Eagles culture, but ultimately, it's about the guy they gave the big money to. Carson Wentz, his ability to be able to orchestrate Philadelphia, and can he stay healthy? Because I believe the weapons around him are the best that he's had since he's been there. But they need to give him some easy stuff. Yeah. Third downs. You don't have to throw the ball all the time. Let's put some thump in there with Jordan Howard. Also Sproles coming out of the backfield. And every once in a while, I'm going to throw the ball to the guy in the history of the NFL that's been better than anyone else. That's Deshaun Jackson. Excuse me, how many of those 60-yard touchdowns can they create, which make it easy for Carson? You can't always have 8, 10, 12-play drives. So let's get him some easy stuff as he goes into, to me, which I should be his prime, which I don't believe that he's reached yet, Bart.
Yeah, you talk about those easy throws as well, and the easiest throws for quarterbacks are up those seams, right? So now you're going to be able, with the addition of Deshaun Jackson, that's going to take the top off the defense, draw the safety. Who's going to eat the most? Zach Ertz, who's the biggest mismatch, maybe the best pass catching, receiving, or definitely top 5 in the league. But now Nelson Aguilar is able to go back to his natural position, slot, where he can be off the ball, where now you can't jam him off the line because now he's going to have a free release. I think it's going to open everything up. This roster is balanced, it has depth, and it can sustain injuries. You know, and you talk about the secondary. The secondary played a lot better in the playoffs. You know, they were giving up deep balls early in the game, you know, early in the season. But how do you do that? If you can't have elite defensive backs, you have to have pass rush, because now that allows you to keep too deep, and now you can make sure that you have help for everybody.
And one other point, you guys both mentioned Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman and the Eagles front office is quietly sitting there saying, Zeke, stay firm, man. You deserve to be the highest paid running back in the league. They look at that. They look at that division. Washington is figuring out who their quarterback the future is going to be. The Giants are figuring out whatever the hell they're figuring out.
They got great.
Right. They got okay. They have one team that could compete with them in this division. It's Dallas Cowboys, and right now their best player is not in the United States of America. So right now they are hoping that stays the case for as long as possible.
All right, Bart, stick around. Coming up, does 42-year-old Tom Brady have enough in the tank for another Super Bowl run? That's next. First things first. They're like, Dak, you should